Ladies and gentlemen, the weekend.
What's the haps, chaps, chapettes? It is I, the Weekend Warrior, and I done did it. Woke the dragon. Okay, not so much a dragon, more of an old fogey who got mad at a video game and made a 20-minute maniacal rant about how game bad. Instead of, realizing that he sucked.
Why would anyone know to do that?
Yes, guys, I am talking about video game developer David Jaffe. Jaffe? David, the guy who made God of War and Twisted Metal, that guy. He's a game designer, which sucks. I wish he didn't make those games because I could have just dismissed it as some old guy who doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. Time to put you out to pasture, sir. No, wait! He's the Steam creator of God of War! Oh. So you know what? I'm gonna talk about it. I am that annoyed. So let's just jump right in, shall we? Any good trip to hell starts on Twitter. Twitter is a place for maximum shit posting, maximum bad takes. Of course, you get the horny posts, which I appreciate.
I want mommy, I want milk.
More often than not, something on Twitter will irk me immensely. Yeah, it's a fucking shit. Nintendo $60 game versus it's not condescending enough. Nintendo's $60 game versus Shantae and the Seven Sirens, aka an actual great example of a modern Metroidvania, which is, FYI, only $30. Smiley face. What does the price have to do with the game? Usually, in real life, when the thing is cheaper, it's usually bad. This is not true of games. Of course not. There are cheap games that are fun, and there are expensive games that are shit. It's not about the price point, it's whether or not A, you're willing to pay that price, and B, if the game is actually good. I think I understand what Jaffe is trying to say here. I translated what he said in the least asshole-ish way possible. Does he explain why Metroid is bad in this particular tweet? No. Don't get me wrong, I love shitting on a bad game. At least give me your reasons as to why you don't like the game. I might agree or disagree with you, so long as you give me something to believe in, something to base my opinion on your opinion, right? It's the difference between a Steam review that says 1,500 hours and has a detailed review as to why the game is bad versus some guy who only played like 2 hours and said it's bad. Honestly, Jaffe's tweet rubs me the wrong way since it reminds me of some other tweets I saw during this whole shindig. This bullshit here is $60, crying laughing emoji, crying laughing emoji, crying laughing emoji, crying laughing emoji. I'm not a proponent of theft, but I'm not a proponent of getting robbed either. Skull emoji. This game is $30 at most. So I delved deeper into the world of Sony fanboys. Okay, disclaimer, I don't dislike fans. I dislike a particular type of fan, the rabid fanboy. It's one thing to like your own console if you really love like Nintendo, you grew up with the SNES, the NES, whatever, that's fine. It's quite another thing to go, by the way, Xbox sucks, PlayStation sucks. List goes to the Sony ponies, the Nintendrons, the X-Cucks, the PC Untermenschens, Linux Limeys, and Mac users. You can all go fuck yourself. So why does he think that this game is only worth $30? Stranded Ninja asks, I'm gonna ask, have you played this game yet? And then he says, no, my argument isn't based on quality. Kena is a quality game, but it is appropriately priced at $40 given the procuring cost. Ori is a quality game and it launched at $30. He elaborates in another tweet, it's not about the quality, it's about production. All the games are quality and none of them cost $60 when they came out. Why? Because the actual production costs were not $60. And then he references Cuphead, Hades, Ori again. So your entire point is the game isn't fully 3D, so it doesn't deserve its price. The game is a 2D side-scroller which do not have the same budget $60 AAA games fall into. Toyota Camry do not get prices next to Lambos and Ferrari, no matter how quality the Camry is. The fairest thing I can say about this point is that if he actually knows the budget of Metroid Dread, has some sort of fucking flowchart, and argues that the price should be lower than $60, I would actually agree with him. So what proof does he have? That's right, guys. Fucking nothing. As the people on the replies rightly call him out, it's just the presentation. He doesn't feel like it's worth $60 because it's a 2D side-scroller. I couldn't find the tweet anymore, but some guy mentioned Odin Sphere Leifthasir, which is a fun game, a 2D side-scroller, and that thing is worth $60 easy. Another thing is that the name, the developer, is Nintendo. There's some sort of premium to that. Name recognition actually brings value to a company. Which would you rather buy? Suck Me or Sony? Obviously, Suck. At least he's not this guy who tweeted that out unironically and got quote retweeted to death. Like Actman quote retweeted him, Mutahar retweeted him, and I'm not gonna reveal it because he fucking deleted the tweet. What I recall, why I remember this guy specifically, was because Cory Barlog actually went out of his way to comment Metroid Heart. On the fucking thread he made this. Imagine this guy waving the flag of my PlayStation, my graphics, and the developer of one of the most acclaimed games on the platform just said, it's fun.
That's rough, buddy.
I think that's why he deleted it. He's trying to defend the PlayStation when really you shouldn't defend that shit. A global corporation doesn't need your fucking help. What you should be defending is your internet privacy. That's right, guys. A segue in a segue. Holy shit! I know, right? NordVPN and Weekend Warrior continues their awesome collaboration. Pretty fucking based of them, I must say. You know what's the opposite of based? Desab. You don't want to be desab, right? No NordVPN? What an nincompoop. What a maroon. But Weekend, what does NordVPN provide? Glad you asked, bro. Aside from stonewalling your privacy from those wacky internet hacker types, NordVPN has thousands of servers ready to connect you to anything you need online. Ever wanted to access peak Kino? NordVPN has got you, bro.
ママが欲しい、牛乳が欲しい。
NordVPN has got you, bro. If you want to protect your privacy, if you want access to these perks, then you could just go to nordvpn.com/weekendwarrior to get the 2-year plan plus 4 additional months with a huge discount. What are you waiting for, bro? Xbox sucks! Nintendo sucks! The best way to counter any argument that really has nothing, no leg to stand on is a quote from the great Christopher Hitchens, who said, anything that can be asserted without evidence can be dismissed without evidence.
Bye, Felicia.
Sadly, we can't dismiss Jaffe since he made a video. Actually, he made several videos. He's really milking it for all it's worth. So let's get into that. So the main video I'll be discussing is this one. Metroid Dread on trial. The crime, bad design. The crime really, and this is my thesis statement, is that Jaffe is just bad at Metroidvanias, and he's just like trying to say that the game design is terrible to cover up for the fact that he plays this game very badly. And I got the receipts.
Did I ever tell you what the definition of insanity is?
What I will be doing is interspersing that with other relevant videos. So, what does he say for the first part of his argument?
Well, what about you, Jaffe? Some of your games have really bad design and bad tuning. Like, yeah, they do. I've openly admitted that, like, the Hades Tower was crap. It wasn't even meant to be that way. It wasn't like we did that on purpose.
Whatever failing you acknowledge in your existing game does not mean there is a failure in the game you are comparing it to. I'm sure there's a fancy fallacy word for that, like ad retardum or some shit, but I'm just gonna call it for what it is, bullshit. While it is good that you acknowledge a flaw in your game, it doesn't mean that the thing you say is bad in one game is actually bad.
If you were taking a video game design course and you used the excuses that y'all have been using to defend this, or if you were trying to get a job and this was the question, it's like, here's a guy on the internet that has a problem with this section. Talk to me, this is the interview, talk to me about what you think about his views. And you were to use the arguments I've been seeing consistently last night and this morning to defend this section, No one would hire you.
Did you guys see that? Not only is he insulting the gamers that actually got through the problems he had difficulty with, he's also subtly insulting the developers of Metroid Dread. Like, I mean, in the title it's obvious, but in this statement, it's like, oh, you defend this stupid part of the game? Oh my god! Didn't you see how stupid it was? That's the impression I get from what he's saying.
No one would hire you.
Mercury Stream Depth. I'm gonna show you now his weakest argument. Okay, all his arguments are weak, but this is by far the weakest one.
You know, I'm saying the game is not hard like the enemies are hard, but there's a lot of precision work needed, and playing with this default controller, which is what most people have, is really hard. It's hard to get the character to line up and stay lined up with these little nubs. These little fucking nub sticks are horrible to play this game because, and these, the game requires you to do a lot of like multiple, like L1, L2, R1, charge Y, let go, right? And you're trying to do that really fast, and you're trying to do that with your character not moving, okay?
So far, what he's saying seems reasonable. Shocker, I know. Maybe he has difficulty with the controller, maybe there's some adjustments to be made, but let's look at his actual gameplay and see whether or not it's the controller's fault.
This is not, I cannot play with this fucking thing. I have to get in place, I have to stop and aim, and then I have to launch the rocket, but it is so fucking hard to launch the fucking rocket.
It's entirely his fucking fault. There are so many times, so many opportunities that he could have fired that shot, but he didn't. The biggest problem with his approach is that he's playing it like Mega Man. He's jumping up to see the Mega Man jump. You jump up, you shoot, because Mega Man can't aim. In Metroid, you could aim, and he doesn't do that. When you look at his gameplay, it's a mindfuck, because you could see him like going out of his way to not use the Metroid mechanic. You'll see it later also in the very important section of his rebuttal.
Push up on the stick, so she's shooting up like a big boss eyeball, which I got to. You shoot up, but you end up shooting off to the right because your thumb has to be just perfect. People are like, well, yeah, you have to play with the Pro controller. It's dumb, Jaffe. Why are you playing with that controller? Oh, I don't know, because it's the controller that came with the Switch, and because this is a game that nowhere on the box, as far as I can tell, not that I saw a box, I downloaded it, said you should play this with the Pro controller. I don't know, maybe that's the reason, because I don't fucking live on the Reddit, Metroid subreddit or whatever, and it's like, oh, yeah, you gotta play that, you know.
This is so crazy. First of all, you went to Reddit. That's already a red flag. Secondly, at best, I think it was just a suggestion from your fans, from Reddit, from wherever, that maybe you would have an easier time with the Pro controller. It's such a flimsy argument. The easiest counter to this would be any fucking idiot just playing the game normally with a fucking default controller. Ta-da!
People are like, well, you should aim. It's like, yeah, I know that. I don't like the aiming in this game because of the Joy-Cons. My Joy-Cons may have drift. It doesn't matter. I don't like it.
So how do you aim anyway? You press this button. And then you move with the stick. So as long as you're pressing down on the L1 or the Z1 or what the fuck ever you call that, just that button, Samus will not move. She will just stay where she is and aim. What Jaffe's doing is like when he's aiming, suddenly Samus gonna move. Samus gonna move. Samus gonna move.
I know I'm supposed to stand under it, but if you move the stick just so, your little dude does that.
What is actually happening with what Jaffe is saying is that there are times in his playthrough where he's aiming up to fire a missile, but then the guy moves forward. The guy's moving forward because he's aiming manually without pressing L1. He's gonna move forward, of course. When he's actually aiming with the L1, the missile fires properly, straight. It's just that he's not aiming fucking right. I really am of the opinion that it's not really the fault of his controller. It's his fault. he lets it slip here.
So many fucking little buttons. Fuck! I just can't get there in time and then change to the rocket and then and not slide off the platform.
That's fine. If you're a noob, that's fine. Even if you're a game dev. I am sure there are tons of game devs out there who might not be experienced in a particular game. That's fine. What's not fine is what Jaffe says.
Maybe gamers just look at this like it's the gamer's problem. I look at this like it's the developer's problem. Like this is an absolute poorly tuned game. I'm sorry, you don't release a game that plays shitty with the controller that most people have. I mean, if you're gonna do that, just fucking pack the goddamn controller in there.
So he can do it. He can get good. He can understand the concept. What's amazing to me is the sheer arrogance on display. He's not even entertaining the possibility that he needs to get a little bit good. And this is just some petty bullshit on my part, but his understanding of how the boss fight works is even incorrect.
See that? I'm not an idiot. I know I'm supposed to stand under it, but I'm not an idiot.
你确定吗？
You don't have to stand on the platform. You use the aiming mechanic here to go side to side and hit it with the missiles, or when the armor breaks, hit it with the beam if you don't have any missiles. I still have missiles. It was a fairly easy fight. So what's his next argument?
Because this is what the bulk of the complaints were. It's always been that way, Jaffe, with Metroid. You get into dead ends and you just have to shoot things. You have to. That's part of. It's not it's exploration.
Even a shark understood what you're supposed to do here.
Okay, is this something I can shoot here, you think? I'm a fire in my...
And your exploration is rewarded.
The doobie!
I honestly think he doesn't have that much experience with the Metroidvania genre.
What if the last Metroid that you've played that's been 2D, like in my case, was Super Metroid back in '94? In the meantime, I've had probably, God knows how many games.
He says that in a way to increase his credibility, but he admits on Twitter that he didn't really play or finish Super Metroid. He says he plays Ori, SteamWorld Dig, and other Metroidvanias, which would be fine because theoretically that would help him in playing Metroid Dread. Maybe those games aren't in the style of, like Super Metroid and Metroid Dread. Maybe it's not the same DNA, but it has some elements of it. But if they got hidden items that don't have any cues, or the cues aren't so obvious, or they are obvious but he doesn't get it, I think that should have helped him play Metroid Dread, right?
I'm not opposed to Metroid or Castlevania, Metroidvania style design.
Really, bro? Really? Are we sure about that? Really?
You don't think it's the game's job to let the player know every time they make a new game how the series is? What you're basically saying, think about this. What you're basically saying is you think it's totally valid if you're playing a game that if you don't go back to the NES or Super NES version and deal with the frustration there, well, that's fuck you then.
Nobody's saying that, bro. You're saying that.
You gotta know that's terrible argument.
I know, bro. I know it's terrible. What people are saying is this is the style of Metroid, and I think Dread, for this particular section, actually telegraphs what you should do very well. So we're back here again. For this particular part of the game, we go here to this door, right? The idea was, by the devs, was it's already unlocked. You should be able to aim up and fire at the enemy. And by doing that, you unlock the top part of the map. That was the idea there. It wasn't placed there by accident.
People looking at this going, well, Jaffe, it's obvious. No, it's not. This is an enemy. It's hard to tell in a still shot. It's like, well, there's an enemy up there. You should shoot it. Why?
Jaffe says that. If the person who did say that you should shoot at the enemies up there, like the flying guys here, that's just wrong. If that was really the suggestion of the person, I think the person who commented that was actually telling Jaffe to shoot at the worms, not these guys up top. Honestly, this ties back to Jaffe's refusal to use the aim mechanic for no good reason. Because what he does when he spots the worm is this.
I have to shoot the ceiling? There's nothing about this that says it's breakable. Everything on this floor, this looks like an opening, right? But the minute, and so does this.
Really? That's what you got? I mean, now that you mention it, it does look like some sort of tunnel. Okay, I'll grant you that. But so far, you're the only person online that used that argument. In fact, there's a guy, Marco Bayod, who has a compilation of clips where people discovered the secret passageway without any difficulty.
Oh.
And it shits on him like saying Shantae is a great Metroidvania, where Dread has a very good cue that you should hit the ceiling where the worm is, versus this secret from Shantae that has nothing.
Why? Why?
Like, obviously, okay, it's hollowed out, right? But how would you know that that is the entranceway to that particular area? It could have been the upper part. So if Shantae is as good as a Metroidvania as Jaffe says it is, and Jaffe has played Shantae, right, since he recommended it, then he shouldn't have had a problem with finding the secret passageway, right?
Why? There's no indication on the map. There's no indication visually.
I will comment though, Marco, that for this part where the winged creature, you could attack that, I think if you're a total noob like what Jaffe is, that might not be an obvious cue. I think the winged creature being there is already a hint. Let me show you. Okay, my Photoshop skills are not quite as good as Jaffe's, but let's dissect this, right? So the creature is there. That means there has to be a way to access that part. The room also gives you a clue. Like, I remember the image, I couldn't save it, but what I recall is this section. They're connected. Let me color that in. The platform is literally like a ladder. Like it is a hint that you can jump up there. So really, the room is well designed.
And the map continues off to the right. Like if I run my character off to the right, ultimately, you know, the screen will change and I'll be in a different room. Well, why would I assume that getting into this room doesn't come from over here and I run this way into that room, right? So the map doesn't help.
Once again, Marco Bayod gives a very good visual rebuttal. Just give him a visit on his channel. I'm not gonna post his whole fucking video here. Just visit the videos in the link. Jaffe's argument would actually make sense if there were other rooms to explore. If there were other rooms to explore, then the map would open up and he could go somewhere else. The problem is, the only room that is available to Jaffe at this time is the upper right. So this is the only place where he could go. What else do you got?
People talk about this right here. They're like, well, Jaffe, the game tells you. This is what the game tells you earlier on in the game. Hold R to ready missiles and press Y to fire. Okay, fair enough. Some blocks can be destroyed only by using specific weapons. Now, when they tell you this is what they show you. This is a block. Some destructible blocks are hidden. Well, these have suddenly started looking like everything else, right? This no longer looks like a block I need to destroy. It just looks like the level, but fine, let's give it the benefit of the doubt. Some destructible blocks are hidden. If you run into a dead end, try shooting at your surroundings. Striking some blocks with missiles may reveal how to destroy them. So this is a cover your ass line that probably came up after playtesting and focus testing revealed some of these areas in the game to be a problem and they didn't have time to fix it and they said, well, let's solve it with this. This is our get out of jail free card.
The fairest thing I could give Jaffe for this point is that I think it could have been telegraphed better. There is an enemy in the game that could actually serve this purpose, the hanging claw thing. I think that could have been a better enemy up there if you really want people to get it immediately and there will be no noob problems like we have here. Then I think that one is great. I do find that cover your ass line to be very funny because literally, you are the only guy I know that has that problem with that section. Okay, maybe there are people offline or even online that have a problem with that, but you are the most vehement one. And I would say like 80 or 90% of the gamers out there figured that shit out easy. Also, for that point, the logical progression of your argument doesn't make any sense.
Some destructible blocks are hidden.
Right.
Well, these have suddenly started looking like everything else, right?
Right.
And if you run into a dead end, try shooting at your surroundings.
Right.
This is a cover your ass line that...
The game is giving you the tools to succeed, bro. You can aim, you can figure out that there's a block somewhere that you could shoot. Do you want the big arrow to point it at you? Dude, just experiment. You are not being punished by the game for just shooting everything. It would be different if you were like firing missiles everywhere. But the game is very generous in reloading your missiles. You just make a counter and flying guy gives you loot. It's that easy. It's almost like the game is encouraging you to experiment. Like I remember this area, I was lost and I couldn't find the exit after beating the boss. But then I found this out. I tried everything I could. I used the new power to interact with the environment. How about that? You can't even be bothered to fucking aim, my guy.
You had to find a motherfucking pixel hidden in the dark. Look at this thing.
He makes the argument that he grew up in a generation when there are secrets, and the secrets like the warp whistle, they're kind of bonus objectives. Like the thing he was rambling on about, it's an Easter egg. But the thing is, like, he argues that that's optional content, while what he's experiencing is a story block, a block to the main progression. But those are not comparable. It's not even in the same league. It's not even in the same fucking ballpark. You are comparing optional content that is hidden away with actual story progression that just requires reading comprehension and application of the knowledge. It's not esoteric shit. In fact, this whole thing is a non sequitur. I think it's worse than a non sequitur. Because if you grew up in a generation where that shit is common, then this puzzle would have been easy. And you're so smug and you're acting like, oh, I sure showed you. Did you though? Really? Troll bait can only sustain you for so long, my guy. This is me giving you like legit advice. If you want to be known for making shit content, but don't be surprised when people turn you into a circus. So that's all I'm saying, man. You can still stop this, you know. Just stop.
It seems to me like you're the expert.
It feels so insulting. It's like the noob is telling, you know, actual experts on Metroidvanias how to design it.
Captain, you've just been killed, along with 95% of your company.
It's one thing if he knew what he was talking about, but hopefully I've demonstrated that not really. At least for this genre, he must know how to make games, right? Just not Metroidvanias.
Scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the best game ever made, 1 being a piece of shit. It's a 3. It's a 3. It's not good. I think it's a game whose time has passed. I think that design, the idea of a bounty hunter character, Samus, sci-fi horror is great. This is an archaic design. It's not good.
I hope you understood my conclusion here, guys. Unless you want a fucking arrow to point at it.
Why?
Thank you for watching this video. And a huge shout out to my patrons for making it possible. Chet McMasterson, Danil Dmitriev, Hjortor S. Hjortorson, Roykar McCoy, John Lemley, Logic M. Marcelo Oliveria, Registered Good Boy, Robot I, Richard Donahue, 21st Century Guy, Rocky Sadok, Villain of the Week, Delatar Teeps, and Tad586, as well as these other wonderful warriors. A huge shout out to NordVPN once again for sponsoring your boy. If you want to consider having internet privacy 24/7, NordVPN has got your back. Once again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.